Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. What if I told you that ancient wisdom and modern science are about to collide in a way that could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness? Today, we're diving into The Future Scroll by David G. Little, also known as Swami Munamurti Saraswati, a work that's bridging the gap between mystical knowledge and scientific understanding.
You know, what's fascinating about this is that we're not just talking about another spiritual book. This is coming from someone with 45 years of deep yogic experience.
Wait, really? Tell me more about the author's background.
Well, David G. Little, or Swami Munamurti Saraswati, is from Forster, NSL, Australia. He's actually an initiate of an ancient Indian spiritual order that dates back to the 8th century.
That's quite a credential. But what really stands out to me is his transition from the corporate world to spiritual teaching.
Exactly. He was a management professional in the property sector until 2020. But here's what's interesting. He's been deeply involved with the Kundalini Research Project for decades.
The Kundalini Research Project? What's that about?
It's a fascinating initiative focused on studying the scientific aspects of Kundalini awakening. Little's work is all about bridging ancient wisdom with modern scientific understanding.
That's such an interesting approach. How does this manifest in his work?
Well, in his book, he's actually releasing never-before-seen Satyam Yoga, Kriya Yoga techniques to the public for the first time.
Hold on, why is this significant?
Because Kriya Yoga has traditionally been a closely guarded secret. It's considered one of the most ancient and authentic forms of yoga.
You know, speaking of ancient wisdom, I find it fascinating how scrolls have historically been vessels of sacred knowledge.
Absolutely. In ancient Egyptian mythology, for instance, the god Thoth was said to possess a divine scroll containing all the secrets of the universe.
That's incredible. And now we have Little's work, which seems to be a modern take on this ancient tradition of preserving wisdom.
Yes, and what makes his work unique is that he's not just preserving ancient knowledge, he's actively working to validate it through scientific research.
Can you give us an example of how he does this?
In his 2024 publications, he included important scientific formulas for advanced astrophysics, collaborating with renowned thinkers like physicist Dr. Richard Alan Miller.
That's quite a blend of the mystical and scientific. What's the goal here?
He's trying to create what he calls a transition into the next Yuga cycle in time, what he's termed the Kriya Yuga.
A new Yuga cycle? That sounds significant.
It is. He's essentially proposing a new era where ancient spiritual practices and modern scientific understanding come together.
You know, this reminds me of how scrolls often symbolize the unfolding of time and destiny in various cultures.
Exactly. And in dreams, scrolls often represent the quest for wisdom and self-understanding, which is exactly what Little's work is about.
That's fascinating. How does his background as a Swami influence his scientific approach?
He was initiated by Paramahamsa Niranjanananda Saraswati in 1995 and first met Swami Satyananda, the founder of Bihar School of Yoga, in 1988.
And how does this traditional training inform his modern work?
He teaches through what he calls deep direct perception, not blind faith, combining his mystical experiences with pragmatic scientific understanding.
That's quite a balance to strike.
Indeed, and in February 2024, he was admitted as a life member in the Indian Yoga Association, showing how he bridges both worlds.
Let's talk about his actual techniques. What makes them unique?
His book contains practical techniques that he claims go as far as the written word can go in explaining Kriya Yoga.
And these are techniques that haven't been shared before?
That's right. These are Satyam Yoga, Kriya Yoga techniques that he's releasing to the public for the first time in history.
What's the significance of making these previously secret teachings public?
It represents a shift in how spiritual knowledge is shared in our modern age, making ancient wisdom more accessible while maintaining its integrity.
That seems to align with current trends in spiritual literature.
Yes, according to recent research, there's a growing trend toward combining ancient wisdom with contemporary issues, especially through digital platforms.
Speaking of contemporary issues, how does his work address modern challenges?
He focuses on practical applications, helping people navigate their spiritual journey while living in the modern world, not retreating to mountains.
That's quite different from traditional approaches.
Absolutely. He's described as a multidimensional architect, helping to bridge the seen and unseen realms in a way that's accessible to modern practitioners.
What about his scientific collaborations? Tell us more about those.
He works with scientists like genome research scientist Dr. Max Rempel, bringing clarity to unseen realms through scientific validation.
quite a unique approach to spiritual teaching.
Yes, and it's particularly relevant today when people are seeking both spiritual depth and scientific validation.
How has the reception been to this blend of ancient and modern?
His work has been well received, particularly by those seeking a more grounded, practical approach to spiritual development.
And what about the future? Where does he see this work heading?
He envisions a future where spiritual practices are understood and validated through scientific means, making them more accessible and credible.
That's quite a vision for the future of spirituality.
Indeed, and it's already happening. His work is part of a larger movement toward what we might call scientific spirituality.
How can listeners engage with these teachings?
His books are available, and he emphasizes that these practices can be integrated into daily life. No mountain retreat required.
That's quite encouraging for modern practitioners.
Yes, and he often says that spirituality is not about escaping life, but about living it more fully.
What would you say is the most important takeaway from his work?
That ancient wisdom and modern science aren't opposites, they're complementary paths to understanding our existence.
And how does this help people in their daily lives?
It provides a practical framework for spiritual growth that's grounded in both tradition and scientific understanding.
This has been incredibly insightful.
And what's exciting is that this is just the beginning of this convergence between ancient wisdom and modern science.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Co-Pilot Podcasts. Remember, whether you're a scientist or a seeker, there's room for both empirical research and spiritual wisdom in understanding our world.
And just like the ancient scrolls that held sacred knowledge, Little's work shows us that wisdom isn't about choosing between old and new, it's about bringing them together.